I'd like to welcome you all to Hope Unitarian Church. It's wonderful to see everyone today. I'm the Reverend Justin McCreary, and I'm very excited that you're here with us this morning. If you're new to Unitarian Universalism, one of the things I always like to say is that we are covenantal. We're not creedal. This means something very simple and can be summed up with words attributed to David Ferenc. You need not think alike to love alike. Being rooted in love, we believe that all human beings should be treated with dignity and respect. On this hill, we seek hope, love, justice together in community. And whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are in your spiritual journey, in whatever your life circumstances, you are welcome here. And at this time, I would invite you to rise and embody your spirit as you feel so called to sing our hymn of welcome. Our tradition in Unitarian Universalism to light a chalice and say these words. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning, in celebration of the life we share together. You may be seated. By Linda Barnes. Suspended between all that was and all that might be, we struggled to find this very moment, to live in this very moment. Let us sit together for a moment and savor this moment. Let us relish this between time when past meets future. Let us harbor a faith that reminds us right now, right here is enough. And if you would speak the covenant with me together. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth in love, and to help one another. And I would once again invite you to rise and embody your spirit as you feel called, and sing hymn number 16 with me. That is hymn number 16.
Okay, on Wednesday, December 18th, oh, my name's Anita Ward. I forgot to say that. A longtime member of this church. Wednesday, December 18th at 0 at Doug's Deli, there's going to be lunch bunch. And it's really good, the deli. So contact Mary Baird. Raise your hand, Mary. Oh, she just went outside. Anyway, let her know if you're coming. There are a few spots left for dinners and events from the auction, so please sign up. Go online to sign up. Reverend Justin is going to hold a roots class. 3 sessions will be occurring in January on the 9th, 16th, and the 23rd. Email Justin if interested. I will say I've been to almost every minister that we've had roots class. You know, it really goes over what Unitarians believe and maybe what you believed in the future, and I mean in the past, not in the future. Anyway, if you're new to the church, I really highly recommend it. December 21st is Feed the Homeless. It's not too late to bring cereal or clothes or other items that they need at the day center. We do have enough people signed up now to do it, to perform for the take it down there and serve it, and people here to cook it. It is a group, let me tell you. December 24th, Christmas Eve, at 6 o'clock is the candlelight service. Put it on your calendar. It's really a beautiful service with the candlelights, and I don't know, it means a lot, so hope you can come. Next Sunday is the story of Grinch. So you can wear Grinch-themed clothes if you want to, if you have any. Also, I just bought this out there. Troop 970 that meets at our church is selling crocheted items that are really nice to raise money for their troop. So I hope you can support them. They have hats, shawls, bags, all kinds of things. So look at the table out there after church and spend money, okay? It's for a good cause.
Our meditation this morning is called Breathed into the World by Reverend Sandra Fees. Please rest yourselves in a comfortable manner. Put your feet on the floor and however you're comfortable. Whoever you are, wherever you go, may you know the stillness of winter and the call to love. May you see the moon silvering the night sky, and let the dark of midnight plunge you into your truest self, and fling you back out again to a world in need of who you are. May there be the familiar carols you know by heart and the new melodies that set you free. May you be feasting and frolicking, kindness and wonderment, and may there be wise people to follow a star in the east, and a child to teach us to love and enough magic to let the imagination go wild, to let Christmas arrive with all its enchantments, with its glitter, glow, and gold, to let what wants to be born break through. May the presence of the holy crowd out fear, hate, and worry, and proclaim in this moment that peace and goodwill might yet be breathed into this world, and to vow that we too can give birth to love wherever we go and whoever we are.
One thing I forgot to say in announcements is I just wanted to compliment whoever did this because I think it's beautiful. We already had all this other, but this is new. Okay, this reading is named What You Missed the Day You Were Absent from Fourth Grade. Mrs. Nelson explained how to stand still and listen to the wind, how to find meaning in pumping gas, how peeling potatoes can be a form of prayer. She took questions on how not to feel lost in the dark. After lunch, she distributed worksheets that covered ways to remember your grandfather's voice. Then the class discussed falling asleep without feeling you had forgotten to do something else. Something important, and how to believe the house you wake up in is your home. This prompted Mrs. Nelson to draw a chalkboard diagram detailing how to chant the Psalms during cigarette breaks, and how not to squirm for sound when your own thoughts are all you hear. Also, that you have enough. The English lesson that I am is a complete sentence. And just before the afternoon bell, she made the math equation look easy. The one that proves that hundreds of questions and feeling cold and all those nights spent looking for whatever it was you lost and one person add up to something.
I wanted to especially thank Julia and Rachel for providing music to us today. And thank you so much. It's always so wonderful. So I was working for this hospice organization in Senatobia, Mississippi. While working for this company, I would sometimes travel 90 miles from my home to see patients and their family. I remember one day most of my patients, or I remember one day most of my patients were within a pretty tight radius, but we had some outliers and they stood at the edge of the map. So that one day I had to travel this really long distance to go see two patients. Sure, I probably could have called first to make sure that one of them was home at the time, but I inherited that millennial trait of not liking to make phone calls. But not the one that avoided dropping in without letting anyone know. So I traveled around 90 miles to see a patient, and lo and behold, they weren't home. But that's okay because there was another patient within 20 miles of that one that I could go see, and I wasn't supposed to. I wasn't supposed to stop in to see that patient for the next hour or so. But I thought, he won't mind that I'm early. This dude was awesome. He lived in a small cabin in Pope, Mississippi. Loved having visitors, and he'd meet me at the door every time I visited. He had this special chair he liked to sit in that was more comfortable for him than the chairs he had on his porch. This was a tough old dude. I can't remember his diagnosis, but it was in the family of some kind of cancer. He wasn't too keen on taking medication, and he wasn't too keen on being bathed. He could be a tough fella. After he divorced in his 70s, he moved into his hunting cabin and never really left. He had a four-wheeler he'd ride into town to pay his bills by hand. He was a talkative old codger and didn't have a phone in his house, and this was a place my cell phone didn't reach, so I didn't have any cell reception when I was at his home. When I would stop to talk with him or to see him, I didn't have to say much. He handled most of the talking. He'd tell me about his week, tell me if he'd gone in to pay bills. He'd tell me all the stories from his younger days. He'd tell me about horse trading and other things that aren't really reliable jobs anywhere in the world except Mississippi. And he'd sit with me talking and smoking his King Edward cigars. I had to admit, as a hospice chaplain, I would look forward to these conversations. These visits, they were easy visits. In his stories, I could hear that he was confronting his mortality. He knew who he was, where he was, and when he was. And what I mean when I say all this is that he knew there wasn't a lot of time left. He was like the kind of guy who never turned he was the kind of guy who never turned away anyone from his door. And he'd keep you there as long as he could. I don't remember his name, but I do remember the final visit. I rolled up on his cabin an hour early, knocked on the door, and he met me with chair in hand, ready. I don't remember the story he was telling me, and I don't, as I said, remember his name, but after 10 minutes or so, he began to repeat himself in this jarring way. And then he began to shudder. And he slouched and went silent. And I suspected I knew what had just happened. I looked at him and said, "Did you just up and die on me?" He didn't answer. But there was like something that came silently with the wind, that he had just up and died on me. He didn't have a phone. And I didn't have reception. I'd said this before. So I wasn't sure what to do. I actually ran down the road, leaving my car parked so it didn't look like he was alone in case anyone just happened to drive by. he just looked like he was sleeping. I knocked on his closest neighbor's door, who was about a half mile away, borrowed the phone, and this was back when you could still borrow someone's phone. And I called my office and I talked to my boss and I said, he just up and died on me. She said, what did you do? I said, I didn't do anything. We were just talking. Anyway, I'll never forget him. But in the years to follow, and even today, I would ask myself the question, if I'd come when I planned on coming, would I have stumbled on him dead? Or was he waiting for me so he didn't have to die alone? Maybe neither, and it was just luck. But even today, as a Unitarian Universalist, I believe there's something greater than that. At least that's the way I like to interpret it. As I said, I think often of him, reflecting on meaning, and I think what was always so nice about visits with him was that he didn't need much from me. I didn't need to pull out any counseling skills. I didn't need any biblical knowledge. I just needed me. He just needed me. He needed someone without an agenda who was willing to listen. How often in life can we truly say we don't have an agenda? And how often do we know that it's just us that the person we're with wants? That they don't need anything else that just except us. I got to be with this gentleman on a very important day. I served an important purpose, and the only real skill I needed was willingness. Willingness to sit, to listen, to be. My presence was the only ministry he needed. And the funny thing is, that is in itself a gift, both for him and me. I'm reminded of our reading by Brad Aaron Maudlin. Mrs. Nelson explained how to stand still and listen to the wind, how to find meaning in pumping gas, how peeling potatoes can be a form of prayer. She took questions on how to not feel lost in the dark. After lunch, she distributed worksheets that covered ways to remember your grandfather's voice. Then the class discussed falling asleep without feeling you'd forgotten to do something else. Something important, and how to believe that the house you wake up in is your own home. This prompted Mrs. Nelson to draw a chalkboard diagram detailing how to chant the Psalms on a cigarette break. How to not squirm for the sound when your own thoughts are all you hear. Also, that you have enough. The English lesson was that I am is a complete sentence. And just before the afternoon bell, she made the math equation look easy, the one that proves the hundreds of questions and feeling cold and all those nights spent looking up for whatever it was you lost in that one person all add up to something. When I read this poem, it reminded me of the song Canticle, or Are You Going to Scarborough Fair? And I'm going to tell you why. The nature of that song, if you listen to the lyrics, is that one is required to perform these impossible tasks for love. The poem as well highlights what can feel like impossible tasks. Its title, What You Missed on the Day That You Were Absent from Fourth Grade, sets a tone of simplicity, though it's not written for fourth graders. The poem is intended for adults who lead complicated lives to hearken back to the simplicity. And though I remember fourth grade not being so simple, this poem is also not so simple in practice. It sets before us a set of Herculean tasks, impossible educational tasks. In the beginning, it tells us about learning how to find meaning in things we often consider meaningless, pumping gas, peeling potatoes, etc. And as time goes on, we might find that there is nothing simple to remembering grandfather's voice. And as we age, going to bed without feeling as though we forgot something might just be a stretch. He connects the complicated and litigious with the banal in phrases like Mrs. Nelson, or to draw on the chalkboard, diagramming details on how to chant the Psalms during cigarette breaks and how not to squirm for sound when your own thoughts are all you hear. Also, that you have enough. And then that we're diagramming the prayer of the Psalms during the break. We're silencing the inner voice that just won't be quiet. As I said, these are Herculean tasks, but not impossible. Yet they are supplied to us in a sense of something that we have received, that we might have gotten had we just shown up on that one day we were sick. These things are covered in one day. They're a reminder that it's easy to miss important things, or a way to say that these things are never taught when they're needed the most. Because we missed that day, we will struggle with them. But then, what is this lesson that we should have been taught when we were in class? Put simply, the English lesson that I am is a complete sentence. The phrase I am, an allusion to the book of Exodus, an allusion to divinity, the divinity that says, tell them the I am sent you. I am is a complete sentence. Is this author telling me something about inner divinity, or just telling me that I exist and that existence is enough? I am is a complete sentence, a good reminder when I feel anything but complete. I am is a complete sentence when I stare so long in the mirror that my face becomes nothing more than shapes. I am is a complete sentence even when I don't know what to say in the light of tragedy. I am is a complete sentence when we're resting on your porch, hearing the same story over and over again. I am is a complete sentence, especially when it's all I have to give. And I am is a complete sentence when you passed away and I was left to tell your story. But there's more to the story than simple English lessons. There's math. And just before the afternoon bell, she made the math equation look easy. The one that proves that hundreds of questions and feeling cold and all those nights spent looking for whatever it was you lost in one person add up to something. And that's the point, isn't it? I had to read that section over and over again. It means that questions like, who am I, can be answered. I am the collection of all my questions, my feelings, my losses, and I would add my successes through the author, though the author does not. Which I understand, by the way, this poem is about struggling with who we are. Something some people look like they answer so easily when we meet them. That in the face of all these questions about being good enough and important enough, can come down to the simple answer, I am. I learned so much about ministry sitting on that porch in Pope, Mississippi. I learned that meeting the needs of people isn't always as daunting as we might think. The spiritual assistance isn't always about having the right thing to say, and being good enough isn't about what I know, but whether I can be present. There are a lot of lonely people out there, adults and children, looking for something to believe in so they can try to believe in themselves. Because they missed that day in fourth grade like we did. Because they didn't get the memo that I am is a complete sentence. Sometimes the most important thing we will ever do for someone is just simply be present, whether they are an adult or a child. And that will matter more than what we know and even what we say. We will be reminding them that I am, and so are you. At the end of the day, all we need is our presence to lift other people, to show them hope, to care for ourselves. All we need is acknowledge that I am is good enough for me. Thanks. Our generosity recipient for December is Life Senior Services. If you would like to give to the generosity recipient, all you need to do is write generosity in the memo line of your check or put cash in the basket as it comes before you. Otherwise, if you don't write generosity or if you put cash in an envelope, that it will go towards your pledge in the operating fund. It's a season of giving, but I like to think our season of giving is year long. We can help bring love and peace to people through the gifts that we give. So please give with the thoughts of hope, joy, and love for the future. Let's give thanks. We build on foundations we did not lay. We warm ourselves at fires we did not light. We sit in the shade of trees we did not plant. We drink from wells we did not dig. We profit from persons we did not know. We are ever bound in community. Our final hymn will be hymn number 318 in your hymnals. We will be one. That's hymn number 318. And I invite you to rise and embody your spirit as you feel so called. Words together as we extinguish the chalice. We extinguish this chalice. I think there's nothing more important at this time in our world. I was reflecting on Joanne's wonderful forum that I am is enough. You are, we are. So during this season, find your peace, find your hope, and remember, we are enough. Thank you.